13.
Yeah,
Never mind.
Wait a minute, what? Okay, what have we got?
She was adding the characteristic and not the modifier.
Yeah, you can
Just
just
think.
understand.
Garden, what do you got?
I'm always there.
13.
Okay.
22.
Yeah.
What? 22? That sounded a lot better, you guys. Are you sure you're right?
Yeah,
Oh, whoops. What a shame.
what did you do?
All right. Aaron, sorry, Kellyson, what do you got?
Another circle.
Oh, that's right, I'm sorry.
This is not our problem.
You're quite right. Charlotte, what do you got?
A very brave and strong 6.
All right.
7 minus 1
I-
6.
And Lassen.
Unlike some
Dexterity
people,
is my
I know
highest
not
skill.
to add
Therefore, I have a
step.
5.
All
Wait a
right.
minute, I beat you, and I beat you.
Oh,
Okay.
shit, man.
First one to so the first one to move is the creature. It strides forward and takes the what it views to be the most dangerous target, and that, of course, is the gleaming paladin who goes forward and so sees Shala and moves forward and swings away and
Shiny object.
misses actually unless a 9 hits your armor class, but I guess it does not,
No.
right? So misses. So you dodge it away. As it hits the ground, there's a and you actually see little chunks of stone like fly up from the ground where it hit, and then it lifts its club back. That would lead us to Garvin.
Oh.
You.
I
Beat that with.
let's see. No, I know. I can't
Sweet
see.
Jesus.
I can't see the screen very well. Like,
Don't-
am I close enough to
Yeah.
chuck it with my axe?
Yeah, you are sure.
Excellent.
As you can see, there's not a whole lot of room in that circle.
Are you throwing
So-
your axe in
No.
this tiny circle? Just checking.
I've learned.
Go ahead and make your attack.
I've learned. That's a D20, right? I
Yeah.
can change. I can change. 12 plus 5.
You add, boy, I don't.
Your strength. Well, actually, it's saying your weapon. It should say your weapon.
Where's your weapon?
Here's your attack.
My
right there.
axe. So it's I'm at +4 to hit, so that would be 16.
Hit. So now you can roll damage. So your damage is
D6.
should be D6 plus 2. So
Roll
roll
the
a
D6.
6-sided dice.
Oh, yeah, yeah, 6-sided die, yes. 4 damage.
Okay. So you thunk into its side, sort of bash it on the sides with your warhammer, right?
No, my axe.
Oh, your axe. So you chop in the side, pull it loose. You see like a little dribble of sap, and it looks down. And that's it.
Does it look like maple syrup?
It looks like it could be in about 1,000 years.
Okay.
Okay, Corinna is next.
Wow, I can hardly wait. Okay, so I'm gonna blow a point of key,
Okay.
and I'm gonna do a flurry of blows.
Outstanding. I like flurries of blows.
And I don't remember, is it 2d20 or just 1d20 for the attack and then 2d6?
It'll be for the attack first. it'll
Unarmed
be-
melee, +5 to hit.
Right.
I think it's just 1d20, isn't it?
Yeah, it'll actually say in the flurry of blows right there.
To make 2 unarmed
Actually,
strikes as a
Yep,
bonus.
so 2 in a row. Yep.
Make
So I
like
get
a 3
3
and get
total.
out.
I get 3, okay, so 3d20.
Woohoo! 15 of us.
Let's see, and I'm +5 to hit, so I have a 19,
Yeah.
a 15, and a
Miss.
14.
Miss.
So just 1 hit?
Yep.
Well, that's awesome. And I don't believe I have any pluses to damage, so I do 5 points of damage.
Okay.
Whack!
So when you hit it, you feel your fist. What?
Oh, I'm sorry, add 4 to that, it would be 9 points total.
Okay.
Thank you. 'cause I
So
didn't see that.
when you
Yeah.
hit it, there's this and bark goes flying off its side, and it kind of takes a step back, sort of nods like it acknowledges you, your presence. Shala, you were up next.
This is the challenge of death. Clearly it's a trick. I stabbed myself.
All those who didn't see that coming.
No sacrifice.
20 quatloos well spent.
All right. I can't totally believe I'm saying this, but roll to hit yourself.
I'm gonna roll a 1 in
No, you're
So,
not.
Facebook
You're
work beats yourself.
1.
Who else does she hit?
So you miss. Well, I was going to say that. Yeah. So you kind of swing it around. All of you are like, whoa! Like going in a circle. You miss yourself, and the creature's like, her.
I just want to know if it still views me as the greatest threat.
By the way, all of you outside the circle can see and hear what's going on inside it.
Aren't you happy?
I'm a
Okay,
bit torn
Do
right
you
now.
guys,
Last
like a side bet?
No.
Lassen is going to maneuver himself so that he gains advantage, so he can use his sneak attack.
okay.
Question.
Don't they have to not realize it's coming?
Yeah.
Well, given the circle though, I'm going to have you make a stealth check, but assuming he does that, I think you can get around behind him. I think actually that the creature is somewhat amazed by what it just saw Shallow do.
She's gonna stop what you're doing.
It's distracting.
So, make a stealth check.
Come on, I mean,
Okay. The problem is you are also just like, what are you doing? As you're walking around, and so the creature's like, "Grr." So the stealth does not work, but you can still attack it normally if you wish.
Yeah, it's not that you face planted into its chest.
Does Dancing Lights still give my companions a +1 to hit as it did in the old days?
No, that's fairy fire. Dancing lights might also not work within this circle, although you could give it a try. I mean, if you wish.
Yeah, I don't think it doesn't able to give anybody a bonus, so,
Unless you want a dancing light Shala to make it easier for her to stab herself in the face.
That would work.
Alright then, I will go ahead and use my dagger.
Okay.
And my short sword, I've got 2 weapon style, but I'm only level 2, so I don't think I have 2 attacks yet, do I? Since I'm a rogue?
Level 2? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think so. Just 1. So I'll go with my sword then.
Okay.
I was so sneaky.
Did you get a warning?
I did!
Wow.
What's your
You guys-
attack?
Switch your dice.
You're just kind of like, yeah, you just
Sneak, sneak, sneak.
a little bit too much zig when you should have zagged, I think is what happens. So, that brings us back up to the top.
no, so this happens and I say this is why I don't join your stupid circus club.
We're not doing circusy things right now!
And
So-
you don't talk about Circus Club. Now fight the wood.
Fortunately for you, the creature is so shocked by the last 10 seconds of its life that it misses again. Slams into the side of the stone wall. Again, the little chips of stone fly up from the side.
It
Again,
would rather fight inanimate objects than you.
Again, and Garvin, you're up.
All right. You know what? I'm gonna
You
grab
just
my
found a
board
partner
here.
for your club.
I'm gonna grab my board. I am
But I
one,
can't tell him.
right?
Yeah.
Wait,
No, you do.
wait. I got this.
Warhammer, right there.
Warhammer, yeah.
Under W.
She doesn't have that letter yet.
Are you using a warhammer or an axe?
Yeah, the Warhammer.
Well, wait, were you using an axe before?
I was.
Okay.
Do I have to use an action? No.
You would know that the axe is likely to work better against wood than a warhammer is.
All right, then let's. You know what?
There's that whole axe chopping down.
Axe tree.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep the axe. My axe is very tainted because it's been in her bag.
And that was the other one.
You kept telling
As
me
well as
that
having
too.
it on the back, it's better to take.
I did have 2, but I don't want to take that one.
All right, go ahead and roll with your roll.
You can't catch halfling cooties.
3.
3 is unfortunately a miss. Brenna
All right,
and Shala's on deck.
I'm gonna burn another point of key.
Okay.
I forget what I get to do to get that back, but I think it's a long rest, isn't it?
I believe that's good.
Oh, what a shame. Anyway, yaha! Oh my god, I got a critical.
Nice.
Oh my god, a 1.
Okay.
Oh my god, I got a, what is that? That's a 9 plus 13.
Okay, the 13 and the 1 are obviously a miss, but the 20 is a critical hit. Now, my rule, and I don't care what 5th edition says, is that you get maximum damage on that. So, what is the damage that you do?
Well, that was.
So do they, in case anyone's curious.
D6 plus 4 would be 10.
Okay, so you strike it a solid blow, and it staggers back again, and it's like, "Ugh," and it again acknowledges you as if you are clearly the threat that it must concern itself with
Clearly.
going forward.
As opposed to the one who keeps stabbing himself.
Speaking of that,
As
Shala,
opposed to the one who keeps failing to stab herself.
Shala, what are you
It's not
gonna
for lack of trying, is it?
So
So
now,
which,
Stay with it, Shala, you'll get there.
alright,
focus.
which one did the creature attack?
The last time it tried to attack Lassen, but now its attention seems to be focused squarely on Corinna.
I
It's
would
not
like-
paying any attention.
I would like to move next to Corinna.
Okay.
You fool. You fool.
All right, we can do that. And then what?
And
You're gonna wait for it to hit you, aren't you?
And I'm going to attack it.
Okay.
it's
There's that
literally
pause where I thought it
attacking
was,
myself.
and I'm going to attack her. And I was like, what?
I will kill my own teammate.
By the end of this game, she's gonna be
15.
Yep.
scared of everybody and not very hard.
Okay, say again.
15.
15 is a miss.
Okay.
Does not hit. Okay, that leads us, you're going to stay where you are, I assume. That leads us to Lassen is up next.
okay.
You could try again if you wanted to do yourself. You could do that again, by the way, because it's
Yes, I would like to get prepared for a sneak attack.
okay.
I looked up 2 weapon, and when I do an attack with short sword, I get a bonus. I can use a bonus action to attack.
Oh,
my
yeah,
dagger as
okay,
well.
that makes
Yep.
sense.
Woo, an 18.
That
so,
hits. Yep.
Well, I'm stealthing.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, that does not hit. Yeah, I'm sorry.
So
You stealth. I beg your pardon.
You
25.
hit it with your stuff.
So you are, yeah. So you're, I mean, like, you know, like a shadow. You are the Batman. So you you can now move around behind it and attack with your sneak attack.
I'm going to do a sneak attack.
Okay.
So this means I have advantage on attack roll. Does that mean I roll 2 20s and take the better?
That's it.
That's it. Okay. So that's 15 with my short sword. I have +5, so 20. So sneak attack will do an extra 1d6.
Okay. So go ahead and roll your damage. It's definitely hit.
So 11.
Okay. All right, that is a solid blow. You notice now that there is sap running down different parts of its body. It's still standing and looks okay, but it's definitely taken some serious damage. This is one thing that I want to mention I didn't bring up before to all of you folks. I'm also going to give all of you the ability to, once in this game, provide an inspiration to the party. That is to say, on an ability check, on something that an attack roll, a saving throw, something they need to have, you can choose to say collectively in a vote that you would like to give that inspiration to one of the players. So just keep that in the back of your mind, save it up. If you use it when Shauna wants to stab herself, you won't be able to use it when someone's in trouble.
But let's
Just
remember
That's
who brought
Well,
the Kit Kat.
consider the value.
Scream down, yes.
So we're barred.
Can I still use a bonus action to attack with dagger, or was that consumed by sneaking?
No, you can still use a bonus action.
Oh, I shall. 18 to hit.
Hit.
Ooh.
Lassen doing good work.
Kill it. 5 piercing damage.
Okay, so again, more sap, and you can tell now it's starting to get a little bit labored. It's, its movement as it sort of moves around in your direction, and now clearly views you as the threat. Okay, and that brings us up to you. It turns around to face the thing that keeps poking at it. Yes, what's
How
up?
far away is she from me? Because I have an ability that matters.
Let's see. She is behind it, so she's about here, which is about 20 feet
Okay, never
from
mind.
where you are. Okay, so let's see. All right. This time it connects. It hits with its club, and it's a big club. Quite a big club. Okay.
Oh dear.
That is going to do. Yes, that does 9 points of damage.
Ouch!
As you are hit backwards.
To her?
To her. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
That's very painful.
You try to tumble out of it and like, I meant to do this, but that hurt.
To pick up a few teeth off the ground.
Okay, that leads us to Garber.
Where am I in relation to Lassen?
You are standing right over here in the corner, so you can move around if you wish.
And you said the light was just like light coming from the walls, right? There's no light.
Well, there's the red glowing light around you now, and that's coming from the circle itself. But otherwise, there's light on the walls around the room. Yes.
Are they torches?
No, they are all these white stones.
Well, I guess I'll just do the axe.
Okay.
Excuse me. I'm busy.
I'd just like to point out
That the dumbass there like hurt herself?
no,
Excuse me, I did not hurt myself.
that the party member has taken damage. I'm just saying.
Why do you think she grabbed her axe?
Because it will make it all better. I apologize for interrupting the flow of the game.
You know what? You're right. I'm gonna throw my axe.
Hooray!
Yes!
I've never been so glad to not be in the room.
My suggestion to the audience is duck.
Yeah.
tell you to duck,
Roll it
right?
again.
I was
It's
gonna say,
off the table.
I
I'm really tempted to do it.
So help
It was a
me.
four.
it was,
So help me.
What is it?
It's a one. She winds up, she's like, I'm ready, and then throws, but as you'll notice the position of Coretta, she throws it this way, and then the axe goes this way. I'd like you to roll damage, please, against Coretta, on which the axe is sitting.
Just because it didn't work out for her. Certain things just are meant to
Tradition.
Okay,
Oh,
okay.
is that what this is?
Only three, only three.
Only 3 points of damage.
Only three.
The creature swings around. What?
side bet.
You don't understand. This is how we fight.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll be happy to hear this, Coretta. It's your turn.
Honor and righteousness thing.
This group, no.
Oh, God, I swear to God.
How much damage is done?
I'm sorry. I took 3 points. It's not horrible, but
Still got another axe?
I do have 2 accents. This must be done. I'm bitch slapping you. All right. I just take a regular hit on the guy because I've used up all my key. I'm ignoring this one.
Okay.
And I do, I hit 16.
Yes, it's
Does it hit?
Yes.
And I do damage to the monster
No, you don't.
5 points.
in the amount of 5 points.
Okay. As I say, beginning to look very unsteady on its feet, but not dead. Okay, that leads us to Shella.
Which one does it appear currently to be targeting?
At the moment, it is targeting the one that has just hit it, which is Coretta.
And the dwarf is targeting the hat.
I think at this point, it's leaving Garvin alone, assuming an ally is at use.
That's a normal state of affairs.
I cannot believe you did it again.
I missed.
Did you?
I rolled 7.
Okay. So that unfortunately does not work. Lassen, you were up. Now, Lassen, you can do a stealth check here, but you're going to be able to do it at advantage because of your position, because it's very focused on this no kabuki play. so you can roll behind it.
you guys did join the drama club.
For the record, I'm staying within 5 feet.
Of
In
Coretta?
half.
Okay.
Wounded.
I'm very stealthily 13ing.
That actually, that's with both. Like you roll because you're doing it at advantage. So you roll.
Oh,
you roll again at advantage.
Huzzah! 18.
Yep, that's fine. So you are now in stealth mode, so you can attack it again, sneak attack.
Then a panic. No.
That attack is an advantage. Do I roll it twice with my attack?
The attack you roll for advantage, but then the damage is whatever you get. So, are you talking about the bonus action that you took or not?
She rolled stealth the first time. Those
I
were
rolled
Right.
stealth.
Oh yeah, so now you're rolling advantage. No, the attack is not an advantage, no.
Okay.
But it
And
is,
that was a 10.
that's not gonna,
Can I, if, it doesn't say that my sword has to land, can I still use the
you can
bonus?
still
on
attack
that?
with advantage.
Woo, I hit. 22.
Yep, definitely hit.
That would be 6. Can I use the sneak attack on the bonus?
No, just on the original attack.
Now, before the next combat round begins, Cadmus is going to go into his Dungeoneer's pack and light a torch.
Okay, so you do that.
That was 5 piercing, by the way.
Right, there's 5, not 6.
Yeah.
Did you? Okay. All right. So again, starting to look quite hurt. That leads us up to the top. It looks again at the creature that is just hit it again.
I figure if our friends win, we'll toast some marshmallows. If
And
they lose, I'll go in there and
That
burn
is
son
a
of bitch to
22
ashes.
to hit you, Lassen.
What?
targeting less.
Oh, because last
Because I'm the most effective despite my double ones.
That is another 8 points of damage to you.
Oh, Lassen drops like a
-4.
little sack of potatoes.
All right, Lassen is down.
Next.
All right, here we go.
Now, so it stops. The minute that happens, it stops. And it says, "Let one come in to take the fallen one's place."
Can I at least have fallen
wait
in the
one second.
grave?
And the light dims, and the field in front of that was, closing over the wall drops.
Is he healing? Is the
Shield,
sap still?
It's still dripping.
Okay.
shield up, lit torch, heading in.
Okay, yes,
Can
Leslie.
Lassie have died dramatically?
Oh, sure. I mean, I assumed as much. No.
You don't even have to roll.
You actually, as you died, you guys heard this and you heard it was actually Lassen doing that. Doing the platoon theme. Okay, so
She's not.
in comes Cadmus. As soon as you do, the light comes up, the field comes up again, the creatures, moves again to the attack. You are going to take over Lassen's position in the initiative roll now, Cadmus. So you're
And I don't get an initiative roll of my own?
Nope. You take hers. You're taking every part of her, including her spots, including her initiative spot. So.
And her health.
And when and her, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
Yep, I know. It is the trial of the dead, not the trial of the fair. All right, so it's now Garvin's turn. The good news is you will get to attack before he does, though, because
Okay.
Try
I'd
to
like
heal again. Throw the other axe.
I'd just like to point out. Character lane there.
Dead party member. Over there.
You're the cleric.
Dead party member. Over there. Dead party member on all three.
Hello.
I'm at -4.
Clean up.
Yeah, but like a serious question, like if I
Clean up
bring
on
her
all
back
three.
to life, won't we have to kick out the guy with the torch?
Clean up on all three.
I don't know. We'll find out.
There's only 4 of us that can be in here.
Well, even if she
You've
recovers,
got a few
she's
rounds
fit
to sort this out. Why don't we kill the thing?
That's what I'm thinking. See, we got a job to do. I have the other axe. No, I grab my axe out of your back.
excuse me.
Pardon me, I'm gonna take that back now.
Blood flows,
It's like Monty Python.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
Go in there and kill that bunny.
Oh, swing the axe.
Okay, what do you got?
And strength, right? Plus 2's 19.
Yep, that'll hit.
That dwarf is
What
dynamite!
do you got for damage?
So you do the plus.
Roll a d6.
That's
5.
Okay. Again, starting to look real
Is
hurt,
it,
but
is
still
it
not
the
dead.
warhammer or the
No,
axe?
the
It's
axe.
the
No,
axe.
that I pulled out of your back.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, Corinna, you're up next. Charlotte's on deck.
Okay, so.
Try to take out your rage on the enemy and we'll sort out the dwarf later.
Fair enough.
The big one. The big one.
Yeah! Apparently I'm not quite angry enough. That would be a 14.
Nope, that's a miss.
You might be
unfortunately.
anemic at this point.
Shelly, you're up.
Blood loss.
So did Cadmus take?
I wouldn't be in the same position though, I'd be off to the left.
Yeah, that's my question. Is where's Cadmus?
Okay, I can move.
Lower left.
Cadmus would be in the lower left. Whoops, sorry. Okay.
Meanwhile, Galexa's broken out the popcorn.
I'm gonna slide over within
Just
5
me a
feet
thought
of
on
Cadmus,
this.
Okay, 5 feet of Cadmus. All right.
and I try to attack.
Still
All right.
Not me.
No,
The
not,
thing.
not you.
And try to attack.
I just want to make sure we were clear.
Attack the
about the
opposite
subject,
side.
not
The thing with
sandwich.
the torch.
Wow.
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 I'm going to assume wow is not a hit.
No, that's a
Would
1.
be a 1.
Wow. Okay.
And you're near within 5 feet of me.
As you move
We
close,
both
you're
six
kind of like,
one.
you swing wildly, and you manage to avoid Cadmus being clipped by it. Your torch, however, is not so lucky. So the arm is, so you've got just the. And you'll be happy to know, Cadmus, it's your turn.
I guess I'll have to draw a sword.
All
Do I
right.
make a death saving throw now?
No, not yet. In fact, Lassen, you're not doing anything for some reason. You seem to be just.
Can I draw the sword and attack in the same turn?
Yeah.
Alright, so draw the sword, I'll make a long sword.
I'll let you have your sword and the torch in the other hand. Now, is it the shield you had? Either way, it's fine. You can draw an attack.
It was shield and torch, alright.
That's fine.
Long sword attack. That's a, with +5, that makes it 20.
Yes, hit.
Okay, and I get 1d8 plus 3 damage. 7
Okay.
of the slashing variety.
Now you see tons of them.
Oh, I think he's pissed at you now.
He certainly seems to be focused in your direction and indeed swings away at you.
He has disadvantage.
Why?
I'm sorry?
It's an ability.
When
Is it-
I
is it
am within
fighting
5
style
feet
protection?
of the person who's being
Oh,
attacked,
that's
the
nice.
attacker gets disadvantage.
The
I can
only
also do
problem
that for
there-
anyone within 5 feet of me, so I will be able to provide the same disadvantage to his attack if he goes after Sean.
That would have been tremendous, except that he rolled a 23 and a 24. So he takes the 23, and
Shala continuing to be unimpressive.
that is 9 points of damage that he does to you.
Not pleased.
Boom! And then grunts at you. And
I'm
Garden.
gonna make you eat that.
Well, I gotta hack with the axe again.
Okay.
A little slick with,
Yeah,
Hack
archery-related jokes we could be telling.
I probably use, 10.
That is a miss, unfortunately. Corinna.
I attack it with my fists.
Okay.
I probably miss with a 13.
Fortunately, that is a miss. Shala.
17?
Yes, that is a hit.
Hey, I finally hit something.
Yeah.
That,
Besides.
besides, yeah, that's
Besides the torch, which you didn't bang up work against. That torch will never bother anyone again.
10 points.
All right.
Ooh, nice.
That staggers it. So it, it's like a stiff breeze would blow it over. It is very, very close to death.
Come on, Cadmus, be a stiff breeze.
Cadmus.
19 plus 5 is a 24 to hit.
That's quite a hit.
5 plus 3, that's 8 slashing damage.
Okay, as you do this, you actually, you know what? We'll do a little critical role style. How do you want to do this? How do you want to end it?
How about a dramatic thrust through its throat?
Okay, so straight through, and then falls. It says, "You have been found worthy," and then falls again. Then the little baby saplings run out. Mommy, why is that? Well, son, you see, this day climate change began.
And thus the last of the immortal treants was slain.
Now, when this happens, Lassen, you immediately come back at the exact same health that you were. In fact, all of you are restored to health, with the exception of Corinna. Apparently,
Because you hit me, you bitch.
I mean, so now when that happens, you've got to lay on hands. So go ahead and restore that. When you do that, this creature dies. When you do that, you all are transported back
And I just look at her
to
like,
Area
oh.
2, where you see
Where?
you see
Wait,
Calixin with some
wait,
popcorn.
trans-
Yeah,
We're transported back to the main room.
Oh, look, you guys survived.
to the main room?
Yes.
Well,
the
no,
tree.
no,
Yes,
no,
to the
with
tree.
the-
Yeah, with the tree.
Oh,
Here's the
sorry,
tree.
sorry.
Okay.
I thought we were in the Dewey Decimal System.
With the tree.
Back to the tree! The tree!
And when you get back there, the image again materializes and says, "You have completed the trial of the dead.
No.
Which
no,
trial
no.
will you
She
undertake
says,
next?"
what the fuck? Okay, sorry, Chris.
That's okay. It says, "What will you?" And by the way, I should have mentioned this. By the way, when the thing fell to the ground, there were pieces of it that remained, and when you left the red circle remained bright. So there are still pieces of this creature like scattered around the arena that you were fighting in, and it's still, the light is still lit. And so,
Do we need to take like a piece of it just to be like?
Unfortunately, we've already been transported.
no, that's okay. Because I didn't tell you that. So you, if you wish, can take something from it if you wish.
Yeah, I grab a.
Souvenirs.
I grab a fistful of splinters.
Seriously?
Yes.
You never know where it might come in useful.
Okay.
Maybe, perhaps we should sweep.
So it asks you what trial. The figure asks you which trial do you wish to engage in next. You have still the trial of the living, the trial of understanding, and the trial of sight.
Well, we know what's going to happen at the trial of sacrifice.
Sacrifice!
I think we should go there.
That's why we have a paladin.
Trial of sacrifice?
I feel like that should have been the last one, but okay.
Oh, so yes, that one.
Maybe we will each have to give up what's most important.
No!
I
Why don't we try the trial of the living?
Okay.
Perhaps
Yes, that
give up a hand axe.
I was about to say, she'll cherish it with the bloodstains forever.
I need to know what the party wants to do as a majority. So what do
I
you
don't
want?
think we have a majority for anything. I think
That's fine.
we have one vote for each of the 3, and then we have 2 abstentions.
Let's
Well,
do
we have-
sacrifice.
Sacrifice?
Yeah.
Sacrifice?
getting this.
So shall it be written, so shall it be
All
blundered.
right. So,
Easy ones out of the way.
the room again rotates. Now again, you were teleported back to this room, but now the room rotates again, and you find yourself in this area 6 again, except this time, the area to the north up here, so you'll have to imagine this, I'm sorry, is sealed off, and the area down below is now open to you. So there are these passageways.
Oh, that was the south, yeah, that we
Yep.
couldn't get through before.
The southern side.
Okay. Quick, Shaw, stab yourself, get it over with.
Yeah, really.
I stabbed myself.
Okay, really?
Maybe we should wait.
I have to wait to find the
Waiting.
right place.
Oh, okay.
We have to find the right place.
Kel suggested it.
I know.
I've been suggesting it for months, come on.
Why do you think I have all these scars?
All right, where are you?
Birds, man.
Where are you folks headed?
South.
South.
So,
Oh
well,
my God,
so there's a
there's
straight, that passageway straight south, or to the east off there. You can see that there's one passageway leading directly down, and then there's one passageway leading to the east.
Before we proceed, Game Master, Cadmus is switching weapons from longsword to pike, which has a 10-foot reach and a better damage.
Okay.
One might wonder where Cadmus was keeping the mic.
Wouldn't you like to know? Would you like to see my pike? It has a 10-foot reach.
Why don't we go straight south?
Okay.
You call it.
So, when you head straight south, again, the lights brighten, and you find yourself in here. This small, let's see, oops, let me make sure I got the right thing first before I tell you what the small whatever. Okay, there we go. This has a series of, stop, you've heard this before, books and bookshelves. However, there are a bunch of, sorry, I'm trying to find the place I'm looking for. That's not the right one, I have too many sheets. There we go. This has lots of books and bookshelves in it, and that seems to be all, just books and bookshelves. Although these books look to be a little bit different than others that you've seen elsewhere in the temple. But you need to, actually start looking at them a little bit to determine why.
Okay, let's take a look at the books.
Okay. So as you look at this, you can see that all of these books seem to be dedicated to Labalus Enereth. There are all these discussions of rituals to the god of time and discussing how prophecies and all these sorts of things, how you do stuff like this. You also can see that there is a map. And one of these books that has this map shows the bottom half of this temple, apparently, laid out for you. I will reveal it now. So this is what you see. Now, the only thing you see this purple circle to the west and this blue circle to the east, and you don't see anything above the tree. So everything above the tree is obscured. But it does have this sort of southern side of things as well. In this one over here, the purple one, you see what looks like a large purple book pictured in this circle. And over here, you see what looks like a body on an altar against a bright blue field. This is what the picture of the map shows.
We want to trial of understanding.
And sacrifice.
Well, sacrifice is where we are now.
The last thing I want to note is that one of the books in this room, which is larger and heavier than the others, refers to the notion of sacrifice in Labalus Enereth's service. And when you begin and just sort of open it up to the, the precis, like the introduction, it says, the very powerful sentence in Elvish, not all sacrifice need be physical in nature, it says. This book is slightly heavier and larger and sort of stands out from the others. It's on a shelf by itself.
Don't stack
Let's take that one along.
You
A
wanna take
sacrifice
that?
shall
Or
is
at
notion
the
of
very
one's
least, we
relationship.
We'll have to do that when you actually get to that part.
Damn to it.
All right,
Last one, we'll grab it.
okay. Now what?
Well, I
We
think-
have to go to where that big green circle is.
Green?
There's
There's
a-
blue and purple.
Blue,
Blue is the
sorry.
one with the altar, so I
Yep.
guess that's
Yeah.
probably, you're right, that's more likely sacrifice. I'm gonna probably upper,
Yeah,
yeah.
so we should go that way.
All right.
Understanding, and that's living up there, so it's living and death, understanding,
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So you all enter here, as I move you down quickly. I think last one was up here, yeah. Okay, you all enter here, and let me zoom in for the audience. There we go. All right, when you enter this room, this is what you see. The notable aspect of this room, this looks kind of like a mirror image of the room that you were in, the Trial of the Dead, all the way to the north, but flipped. But the biggest difference here, besides a few of these books around the side, is the huge glowing blue circle that you see there, around which is this 4-foot-tall, several-foot-thick stone wall semicircle, just like you saw above you. But in the middle of this circle is a stone altar, about 3 feet high, and on the altar is a curved dagger, very sharp, clearly ritual in nature.
Hey, Paladin.
Yes?
You seem to enjoy stabbing yourself. Why don't you go check out the dagger?
Can I have the book?
No, you're not
Take
trusting.
the book.
If you give him the book,
Do
you actually
not
give her the
stab
book.
him.
I walk into.
Do I have to stab him?
When you walk next to the altar, the circle becomes,
Wait a minute, I
glows
just give
bright
you the
blue,
Please just turn the book.
and the altar
That's what I
lifts,
said, don't stab
the
him.
altar lifts up into the air, with you standing on the ledge right next to it, so you two are lifted
Oh,
up
okay,
next to
okay.
it. And a white light shines down upon you as the blue light glows around you, as you stand there with the book.
It's a Bowie concert.
I have a question. I have a question. Is that chanting still going on?
Yes, has been the whole time. Although I was tempted to begin roundabout by yes, when it lifts up, but I won't do it. Yes. So, all
I mean,
right,
it doesn't have a book in his hand, so.
I take a
You
knee
can
in
play
front of the
along.
altar.
you start, I'm sorry.
I take a knee in front of the altar.
Okay.
Where do you put it?
Anything change?
No.
Okay. And then I start reading the book.
Okay.
That is a sacrifice because
Yeah.
she's
Yes.
resistant
Yes,
to
yes,
knowledge.
It's very, very, very dense, and you get through. You feel like you're there for hours. You're all looking up as Shala really pours through it. And when you finally, after a long period of time, get through the first few words, you realize that probably this is not. Nothing seems to be happening with it.
I push on.
Okay. How many hours do you wish to have passed while this
Until they
continues?
Pick up the dagger!
Maybe the sacrifice is that we leave her here.
I'm okay with this.
We could just leave.
If you're okay with it, not much of a sacrifice. Anyway,
I pick up the dagger.
okay. The circle breaks a little bit.
Okay? I stab the book.
As you stab the book,
Told you not
the
to
light,
stab
the altar lowers until it is flush with the floor. The circle remains blue. And you can depart the circle if you wish.
I depart the circle.
When you do, all of you are teleported back to this
Wow.
blue room.
Bravo!
That challenge is made for me!
The image says, "I expected no less," and says, "Which trial do you
Stop
wish to intake
rewarding bad
next?
behavior.
The
Question.
trial of the living or
Yes.
I can't believe
Yes.
that worked.
Do I still have the dagger?
No. The dagger went like almost vanished.
But for your parting gift, you have this lovely box of rice-a-roni.
So you have the trial of the living and the trial of understanding remains.
Let's do the living.
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 Okay. When
Floating.
when you go to the trial of the living,
The dragon gloat.
okay.
I feel out of sorts. I'm just like, what? Still?
Do you feel like an unfriend?
did something
No.
I'm not sure I understand.
Just sort of useless, really.
I am brilliant. That's what happened.
He's been stabbing books since he got here.
That's true. He figured one of these times I
He's
know.
bound to work on something somewhere, right? But now
have-
he's gonna go around stabbing every book he sees everywhere.
Well, he's become the hero of every student who ever gets to read. How many books do I read?
Yeah, really.
Okay. So,
I gained that knowledge through all that reading.
okay, I'll
You
zoom
read
in
all
first.
How can you
So,
get knowledge from reading when you can't read?
Excuse me, I can read. I'm just very slow at it.
okay.
It's not very polite of you to mention that.
So when you are in here,
This group is made up of PCs, I can
Oh, wait a minute, are we going to purple? Oh, we're back in the Senate.
you said the trial of the living.
tell.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
So, okay.
I just,
When you go back to
It means life.
the trial of the living,
Maybe Elfgada. Purpose.
I will be able to find, yes, okay. So this room that you're in right here has many bookshelves on the northern and southern walls. Northern and southern
That trick
walls.
only works once.
Yeah.
And in the western corner, the room turns north.
Yeah.
To the north.
North, Miss Testmarker.
North.
Does Lassen notice any interesting titles sort of popping out from the books in the
Yes,
Harry
when
Potter
you
and the
look to
Prisoner
it,
of
you see
Azkaban.
most of the books have themes discussed, like seen previously, but all of them referring to Elereth, the goddess of the harvest, the god of the harvest, sorry, not goddess, god of the harvest and orchards, etc.
So more harvest for you and forest for dummies.
Correct, yeah, nothing about time up here. Okay, so this is what you see.
He's green.
Pretty. It's not easy being.
Yes, you see Kermit in the middle of it. Okay.
Go fight Kermit.
This room is dominated by an enormous glowing green circle on the ground, and you notice a strange symbol that is at its center. As you enter the room, all of you hear the sound of faint laughter, and you feel a breeze blowing over you, although there is no sign of anyone else in the room, and there's no obvious cracks in the walls from which a draft could be emanating. There are books here, and of course, there is the circle that you can see.
Lassen will laugh along with the laughter because
Okay.
he is now a jolly elf.
Sure.
All right, Lassen is laughing.
Is that an open book in that outlet?
Yep, sure is.
Cadmus is going to go over and have a look at that open book.
Okay,
Let me check for traps first.
Be my guest.
all right, go
Please,
ahead and check the
proceed
chart
ahead of
first.
me.
Oops, where did that good die go? Here
18 plus.
it is. 16
Well,
plus.
16 plus.
For checking for traps, is that perception or investigation?
Investigation.
Oh, okay. 19.
Okay, yes. As you look at it, you don't seem to see any traps around it or near it. You do notice that it is completely dust-free and well-maintained, as every other book has been.
Oh, well, the library does a fine job. So I go over to the open book. What do I find?
The book seems to be a kind of picture book. It has pictures of creatures of all kinds and descriptions. There are dwarves, there are halflings, elves, humans, tieflings, dragonborn, even orcs that are laughing and playing. There are animals leaping and running. There are birds flying, trees growing, plants, flowers, and so on. Just lots of happy living things. Bob Ross is there, happy little tree. Like just every happy thing.
But you know what I'm looking for, don't you?
No, you tell me.
Last
A bunny.
But I mean, there's a whole chapter of bunnies like dancing about.
All right.
Yeah.
Hooray!
Yeah.
So while Lassen looks over Cadmus's shoulder and is enjoying this as Acid is quite joyful, Lassen is going to do a bunny-like and lovely tumble into the circle and laugh loudly in the middle.
Wait, dude!
As you do, when you enter the circle, tumbling in the whole way, it glows brightly and the laughter and breeze intensifies. Yeah.
She's laughing.
Is she sealed in, or is, so the rest of us could go in and giggle?
Yes, if you wish.
Her laughing isn't doing anything.
Doesn't seem to be.
You're a happy-go-lucky
Well, you
kind of
guys,
guy.
it is the circle of life.
Oh.
Bum, bum, bum.
You hear something
You
about
do know
real
how that
fortune,
circle.
the
It
truth
rules
of
us
faith.
all.
Yeah.
The path unwind.
Yeah, you know what, I think that you need to go in because you're just like so curmudgeonly, maybe you'll stop the laughter. Maybe things will die if you go in there.
You first.
No, you.
Well, if it's the circle of life,
Well,
maybe someone
things
needs to
are-
eat someone else.
Things are definitely gonna die.
That was dark. Never mind. Just
Game
you.
Master. Cadmus puts down his shield,
Yeah.
puts down his pipe,
Yeah.
takes off his sword,
Yeah.
and follows Lassen to the circle, and we'll do a spring dance.
Okay.
Yay! Oh, you guys are
So
finally
the
joining!
laughter and breeze is still intense. Right now.
It's wonderful!
Cadmus, let's look at your
Do you see the
walls.
bunnies? Look at the bunnies!
This is the best book Shala's ever read. It's so
Only
clear.
book Shala's ever read.
But it's full of pictures.
It's full of
Look at the bunnies, Shala. Look at the bunnies.
Oh, you gotta go. You gotta go. Fast.
Gotta go!
Fine, Mr. Maker, leave me alone. I step into a circle. Ha ha ha.
Same thing. Same bright yellow laughter.
Step, step, step. Yeah, okay. Ha ha
The camera.
I'm
Lassen and
already
Cadmus enjoy laugh. Dance with you.
probably all need to get in the circle and dance.
No, I
Laugh.
think your lover should dance with you in the circle of life.
The popcorn? I left it behind.
I'm sorry, I'm distracted by the picture.
Packed picture book.
What are
Right,
they-
Are you gonna go dance?
what are you
No, I'm
doing?
gonna go dance. I grab my axe and go dance.
Okay, same thing happens. We have a big safety dance in the green circle. You can dance if you want to. You could leave your friends behind.
Apparently,
You can dance, but if you don't dance, you're no friend of mine. Okay,
Try
so
laughing. Yeah.
these are such convincing.
Roll against charisma. Say, friends, come join the dance.
So nothing's happening?
No, other than the fact that the laughter and the breeze is there and the green circle is glowing brightly.
We don't feel anything, we're just like,
Still one.
You feel the stronger breeze, but otherwise no.
okay.
I mean, you feel happy and joyful as good exercise will always do.
Right, okay.
The gifts of dancing and laughter.
So I'm getting the picture book away from him,
Okay,
and I'm gonna take it into the circle.
okay.
Ha 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 ha.
Same, like no
Would
change.
you
to
get
it.
in here?
And move in the circle.
So same thing,
Well,
light.
come here, come get the book. Come get the book.
So same thing, light flowing. Blah, blah,
Keep
blah.
away.
Nothing.
Nope.
They keep away with the book.
It's
a game.
It's a game!
You start tossing the incredibly heavy book. Crush
All right,
her
we're
in
missing
there.
something.
Here you go, Heflin.
The dead halfling under the heavy book. That's awesome. Okay, who's got some ideas since the dancing and laughing not working?
I suggested the dancing around.
I think you should tell them depressing stories. That'll probably take care of the whole thing.
Shall we sit in circles and tell sad stories of the deaths of kings?
Yes.
Well, what is the essence of life according to the god of the harvest?
Sex? No.
Wait.
Oh no!
Wow, you came up with that really fucking quick.
I'll just go in here.
Wait.
Oh,
What if
no.
we bring some of the chunks of the dead tree that we just
Oh, the dead tree!
And then we can have baby Groot.
I throw the dead tree splinters
So-
under the ground.
Okay, so you do that. Now you're all still you're all still standing, dancing, and doing this. Or
Wait a
anything
minute.
leaving while you do this, or not?
Is that
I'm
green
still
sticking
the
or is that
book
grass?
Oh, I'm sorry. One at a time. What? Say again, Dylan.
I said I'm taking the book back and leaving the circle.
Okay,
think
and
that
then
should just
and
be
that's fine.
removed.
I'm sorry. What did you say?
I stopped dancing. This stuff was in there. Is this stone or is this grass and soil?
It's all stone.
It's all stone.
Yeah, it's colored stone. Obviously, it's green colored stone. Yeah.
So we're not planting any
I'm at an
flowers.
angle, David. Can you tell if there's some sort of design in the center or a pattern?
Yeah, there is.
It's like a Celtic.
Celtic knot.
Oh, it's a Celtic stone.
Celtic infinity.
Okay.
Yeah, I still throw the
Corinna, make either a history or religion. I'll take a check for me. It should say it in the
History or
sales list.
religion?
You have either one.
You know what?
I have history.
I have a history. History.
I have some insight.
I have +4 if it's on stonework.
Then just make a wisdom check for me, and the others I'm not asking yet. I'm asking Corinna here.
19 on the dice plus 2.
You remember, Corinna, having heard at least rumors and stories about symbols which have in some ways fascinated you for a long time, and one of them is a symbol that is associated typically with Elebrin Leothio. This is such a symbol. It's associated with that god.
Okay. So it's a symbol of the god, of the hearth and forest.
The harvest, not the hearth.
Harvest.
Yeah.
Harvest. I don't think your little dead bits are going to do much.
Huh.
And mine.
Well, you have it all. You also have it all
No, the
left.
dancing and singing doesn't seem to have done
Well,
much.
why don't
If I go stand in the center.
Why don't we leave the dead bits in a circle and we all leave?
Yeah, you haven't done it yet.
Okay.
Why not?
When you do that, the circle remains brightly lit and green. And in a flash, you were teleported back to the room with the tree. So, you return, and the image returns and says, "You have done well, but one trial, and in some ways the most difficult, remains. It is the trial of understanding." And so, and it gestures, and the room rotates again, and
Okay, now we're in the
reveals
purple. I think now we're in the purple.
Well,
Yeah,
we're going to-
almost,
Oh, in the purple.
almost in the purple.
We know where we're going.
And reveals
No, it isn't that.
that.
It's the original
So,
one. Straight to
as he moves back up to this. This
Okay, one more kick.
This.
One more.
Almost, I'm sorry, I have too many pages.
You know.
There we go. All right. So, this room is a mirror image of the room that you saw up to the north. I'm talking about this room that's right here. So there are bookshelves again that are on both sides. However, one thing you notice as you're just sort of looking quickly at the titles is that these books seem to be associated with prophecy, with destiny and time, and not anything having to do with nature. And in the western corner, the room turns south.
What's that book on that round table?
That is another one such book. That doesn't seem to be any different than the others, other than the fact that it's open in this particular case. All right. Where are you folks headed?
South.
No.
To the south.
The west and the south? Okay. So, when all of you get here, you see, whoops, not that, you see this. Okay, so this room is similar to the trial room of the trial of the living that you were just in, although it's flipped. But the biggest difference here is the huge glowing purple circle on the ground, and in the middle of it is a gnome with white hair and half-moon glasses wearing a purple cloak on which what you think are hourglasses are embroidered, sitting behind a desk on which a purple leather-bound book sits, and both the gnome and the desk are floating in the air. The gnome seems to be asleep.
How tall, how high in the air?
About 5 feet.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Sleep apnea?
Hello.
Just saying.
Shake 'em.
Yeah, Lassen will go up
I don't
and give
think
a
I'm-
hug.
Can you touch it?
When Lassen enters the purple circle, the circle brightens, and the gnome, oh, what, oh, yeah, yes, yes, I am the Inquisitor, just a moment, and starts to flip through the book, reads a few pages, and then says, you've done quite a bit of work already, I see, but there's one trial left to go. Indeed, yes, the trial is mine. And his voice gets deep all of a sudden, and suddenly you see he waves his hand, and the room suddenly goes dark, and from somewhere a white blinding light shines on you. All understanding begins with questions, the Inquisitor says, and he rises high in the air. And so you will answer 4 questions. Answer them all correctly, and you will have completed this trial. Every time you answer one question wrong, every time you hesitate or equivocate or attempt to deceive, your lack of understanding will prove costly. And he waves a hand again, and each of you now see a shimmering purple chain which is encircling you. It is floating a few inches away from your body, so it's not restricting your movement, but you each have this chain around your body.
We're toast.
He says, now we will begin. Who will answer the first question?
Me.
I will.
I tried.
Is that Charlotte? Is that you? Okay. The Inquisitor nods. All right. And says, okay, so now each of you will have to answer one of these in turn. So Charlotte will get the first chance here. And the first question, which I'll answer as soon as I find the right page. Yes. The first question is this.
Oh, and the
He looks
audience
at
can
you,
help. Remember, the
and
audience can help.
that's true. The light shine. Well, we'll see. The light. We'll see. It's not a check. The light shines upon you alone, Shala. And when the light shines on you, Shala can no longer hear and see, nor can the party hear and see Shala. It is just Shala and the gnome. And the Inquisitor says, this temple is dedicated to the service of 2 gods. Who are those gods, and what are their domains? Silence all of those who are not Shala.
The god of harvest and the Time Lord.
What are their names?
I do not know that.
And when you say that,
And accurate.
that's true. When you say that, he waves a hand, the purple chain tightens, and you take 2 points of damage as you feel the kind of tightening around you. He says, I will ask the question again. If you do not know, then I will set you down and let one other answer instead.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part. Like, out of character, I didn't hear the last part.
And says, and I will let the others answer instead. So basically asking if you want to continue and trying to answer that question that you don't
The
know.
honest answer is I do not know.
And he nods, the light fades, you sink to the ground, the rest of the party now hears and can hear and see. And he says, "You have failed this trial and must leave the circle." So you leave, and then he says, "Who will answer this first question?"
On my way out, I go, but I was honest and it was accurate.
So
This is a sham.
I hate this test and I hate you. All right. Much later, this will become No Child Left Behind, and okay. So, what is this? It's true. Okay. So Lassen comes forward, and when you do, same thing. The light shines. You come up. That you guys can't hear Lassen. Lassen cannot hear you. And again, the question comes forth. This temple is dedicated to the service of two gods. Who are the gods, and what are their domains?
That would be Elobrin Leothinia.
Okay, maybe I didn't say them every single syllable, but I basically said them, yeah. All right, yeah.
The god of orchards, gardens, and the harvest. And Labios and Noreth, the Time Lord.
And he waits, his eyes widen, and correct. And so you are lowered to the ground, or the light sort of dims, I should say. And he says, "Who will answer the next question?"
Out of character, I'm still pacing and ranting in the background.
Okay, so along with the chanting, you hear is goddamn Common Core. Like chanting around behind. Okay. So Cadmus comes forward, and again, light, shine, and then he says, "This temple is dedicated to the service of two gods. Which of their servants was responsible for its construction?"
What?
Argonite?
And he waves a hand. The chain lowers or compresses.
That was your 50.
4 points of damage.
How much?
4. That is incorrect.
So, what did I take that?
4.
4.
That was your 50-50.
I don't know what the names here.
We are open.
I never actually wrote down the name of the spirit we met in the first place. Oops.
The Guardian?
No, that was the wooden dude.
Ask him for the question.
If he does, he's gonna take it.
No, not if he asks him to repeat the question. I don't know.
What will your answer be? Or will you
Pass.
All right. Wise choice. Take your money. No, and he lowers you down, so the light fades, and he says, "Your answer was not correct, and you have failed the trial. Who will answer this question, or will you seek out further knowledge?"
Wait, somebody go be
yeah.
Argonite.
See,
Wait,
we can
he
seek
doesn't
out,
get paid?
Can we seek out further knowledge?
No, he does. He said,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
He says, "Very well. Return when you have learned an understanding, and then have more understanding." And then he sinks down, and then
Let's go ask
falls
Argonite.
asleep again.
Yeah.
So what do you
What was
ask
the
you?
question?
Which of these two gods' servants built this place?
There must be a, no, let's go ask the librarian.
Yeah.
Oh, the librarian will know.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
librarian.
Argonite would.
Well, unless it's like a Z name.
Well, all right, let's try the
Yeah,
argument.
unless it's a name that starts with anything after W.
Oh my God, that's right.
Oh, we're screwed if it's William. Oh, no, we're screwed
Woody,
if it's
you know.
William.
Yeah, let's, I mean, the librarian's a good shot. Let's try the librarian.
Okay.
Okay.
So you head back over to where the Arvanite is there. He's returned to his post.
Is Argonite the librarian?
Arvanite, and yes.
Oh, sorry. Arvon.
And so he is standing right there as before.
Oh, Argonite.
And he says, yes. Oh, book! Yes, I am happy to help you with a book. What may I do for you?
We need to know who built this place.
Who built this place? Ah, it's an excellent question. And I can tell you where you can find the book, but I cannot go with you to it. It is a place forbidden to me. It is to the north of here. The north, between the trial of the living and the trial of the dead.
Very good.
Okay.
And which book am I, do you know the title of the book or on which shelf?
I do not, but knowledge will await you there.
All right. Let's go.
Please tell me what it looks like. I've never seen it before. Please, I'd love to know. I have a collection and I'd like to, please.
I'll
Make
take
a
a picture of
delightful
myself.
sketch.
Okay, so the place that he directs you is actually here. It's the one passageway that you did not go to yet. And it's up here, and it may remind you of
Maybe a mirror image of the one below it.
That's it.
Amazing.
In this room, you can actually see these books are like the others. Again, similar books, similar language, but these books are describing rituals to worship Elebrin Leothiel, rituals of supporting the god of the harvest and the orchards and ways to support life and so forth. Also, there are plans of various temples, including the top half of this one, but I don't need to reveal that because you've already explored that entire part of the temple.
Oh, so this one was on the plans.
But that's what it sees. I will say, though, that over to the left, I'll zoom out a little bit, one of the books shows, sorry about that, over here, that there is a large glowing green tree, the room all the way that's there to the left. And to the right, there is a withered blackened stump against a bright red field in that room. That's over there to
Interactive
the
maps,
right.
I would say it.
Beside the plan of the temple, one of the books in this room refers to the construction and creation of this temple.
That's our friend.
And
What does it look like? Because I have to tell Arvin.
it's a beautiful green leather-bound book that has a tree that is growing up in the center of it, or the image of the tree, I should say. I need you to make an investigation check for me, please, Lassie, but you can do this at advantage.
Natural 20.
Wow. Okay, so it just becomes wireframe. You're like, I am the one. Like, no, I'm just kidding. I'm joking. But you do manage to, as you open it, you're able to read it, and it refers to the elf Martil Kelleris, perhaps the most famous of the druids to worship Elebrin Leothiel, and the driving force behind the completion of this very temple.
Martil Kelloris.
Martil Kelleris. Oh, sorry, yeah, Kelleris, I'm sorry. Don't know how to spell my name.
Druid of
Kelleris.
Elebrin
Martil Kelleris.
Okay. Anybody else?
That's the only reference that you see,
Okay.
unless you were to take a lot longer to do the rest of it.
Got it.
Lassen's feeling very confident that he has
Clock's
properly.
Yeah, clock's ticking.
He's done a
Okay,
good
we went
job.
out, there's 2 more questions.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
True.
Are there any other books in here that
Stupid
speak
question.
to
You
us?
don't respect the
Well, there are plenty of books that talk about these various rituals, but you need to take more time if you wanted to look through them.
Tell you what, I'm bad
Can we take the
anyway.
books from here?
I'm sorry, second.
Can we take the book from
Yeah,
here?
if you would, you can't take all of them, obviously, but you can take that book if you wish.
Let's take maybe this book and anything else that looks as important as this book. Or is this the most important looking?
Well, I mean, no. I mean, you can take other books, but like they all are about rituals and things like that. This is the only one that you see on construction of temple, though, on the construction of this temple. But
So let's take a
Let's bring
ritual
this
book, let's take the construction book, we'll go back, and then the 2, very intelligent band people will sit outside and read them.
Yeah.
okay, so you're returning to the place. So returning to the trial of knowledge,
Mhm.
trial of understanding. I'm sorry.
We're gonna return to the place with the thing.
All right.
Okay.
Hang on. I have a bright idea. Why do they always give me that reaction?
Who can imagine?
Try to kill yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Really? It was the trial of death.
Yeah.
So, you're in a little soundproof pillar, but we can see you. What if you wrote the question and we could look it up and write the answer back?
You cannot see.
Oh,
There is
I'm
a
sorry.
super bright shaft of light.
I thought you could see it.
Nope.
Who is going to go in there and answer Martel Caloris?
Who will answer the next question?
Of Elbrin Lethoniel.
Leo.
I'll go.
Leo Field.
By the way, when you enter, it's okay. So just go ahead. Sorry, you were going to say. You're going.
I'm going to go in, but
Okay.
now you've stopped me.
Well, no, I was going to. We'll worry about this depending on whether you succeed or fail. That's all. Okay. You come in and again asks, "This temple is dedicated to the service of 2 gods. Who are the gods and what are their domains?"
Oh, Elberin Lothiel and Labelis and Arith. They are the gods of the harvest and the guards of time. Gods.
That it?
Prophecy.
Did you say God?
Blue, no wings!
That is, no green. That is correct. And so you lower down. He says, "Who will answer the next question?"
Me.
A different person must answer the next
What do
question.
you mean?
Okay.
Different for every
I
person.
wasted it? I'm so bummed. Okay.
All right.
So you are?
Yep.
Okay. So Calixon, you go in. This temple is dedicated to the service of 2 gods. Which of their servants was most responsible for its construction?
Martel Calamus.
That is correct. And so you were lowered. Okay. Who will answer the next question?
There's only one I knew I knew.
We've got it eliminated, so that leaves.
Well, I haven't tried to answer a question again yet.
Sure.
Let's see. Last time we'll go in.
It says it must first be a different person who has not yet attempted it. A question.
So all of us have to try once.
Yeah, that'll be me.
So you enter.
We believe in
Rise.
you.
Though the gods have many servants, few of them live in this temple, and even fewer who are flesh and blood. But there is one here who shines in their service to the gods as brightly as their body. What is their name?
Argonaut.
It's a
V. Or Arvanite.
That is correct.
Woo!
Who will answer the final question?
Does that mean the gnome's not allowed?
That means the only one who's left who has actually Calixon hasn't gone in yet. Oh no, you did.
No,
I'm
I
sorry.
just did.
Everyone-
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
So everyone but
Isn't
Lassen basically.
it?
So
No, last.
Has everybody failed?
Every single person is gone.
everyone single person is gone. Okay. So then it rotates back up to the top. So it means that
Wait, back
one
up to
of
the
you
top?
two. So basically, Shallow.
Back up to the top.
Either Shallow or Cadmus, one of the two.
Shallow and
Quick,
first.
Cadmus, jump! Quick, quick.
Well, if we're going from the top of the order.
No, but
Shallow.
I'm saying it resets for you. So one of the two of you. Can.
Shallow goes in.
Okay. You rise up and it says, the final path to understanding is the unburdening of the shackles of secrecy. And then his voice gets very quiet. What is your deepest, darkest secret?
Ooh.
That I know that I am incompetent.
He says that and he looks at you and says, so may it be. And turns, now you all heard that. So the lights are shining, and you heard that very clearly, and his voice echoed, incompetent.
And now I stab myself again.
Lowers to the floor, and he says, you have completed the trial of understanding. The knowledge is great. He promptly falls asleep, but not before he says, well, very good luck to you then, and falls asleep.
Welcome
And,
back to the middle room.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
should be teleported.
and you are teleported this time.
It was nice of
be.
you to offer us
Back
good
to
luck.
the last room.
Yeah.
The room
That
of
just
elves.
goes to show that gnome is where the heart is.
Okay.
Oh
Do we get our
So,
hit points back, or are we
When
still
you
in?
return to, no, not this time.
Oh.
That's like a bad
When you return to
Sorry.
this center room, the tree that is right there is bright, blinding sunshine. And the figure that you saw, which was the wispy image, is now solid. And you see the figure strolling around the tree as it stands in the center of a clearing. There is no ceiling, there are no walls, you're in a clearing.
Howdy.
And she smiles at you and says, well done. She doesn't sort of looks as looking off. I watched your trials with interest. You are indeed worthy. I will give you any one bit of knowledge I possess. If you wish, I can tell you how to have wealth and power beyond anything you could imagine. I could tell you how to have love and companionship. I could tell you how to bring back your dead. I could make you competent.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Don't make promises you can't keep.
Any one bit of knowledge is yours.
I have a question about the test.
We need to
No.
We need the Megadeth.
We need to know about the Megurula and how to neutralize its power.
Okay, so you say.
I take my axe
So
and I
you say. So she says to you, Candace. She says, "You would pass up any bit of knowledge for that small little bit of understanding."
That is what our master sent us to do. That is what we need to do to find justice.
She smiles and she says, "So you pass the final trial, the trial of selflessness. For For I would have given you any knowledge you wished, even the knowledge of how to survive the disaster your Vernon Richard will have created. And you have chosen to remember the world as it is, that which would have been lost. Would that all thought as broadly as beyond themselves as you have. Yet you give me hope. And she runs her hand along the branch of the tree, and then she looks at you and says, Vernon Richard believes that the Megurolith is the most powerful item within the Academy, and he the most powerful wizard. But he is wrong. Nature is more powerful than any artifact made by the gods' creatures, more powerful than any of the creatures themselves, and nature does not forget. And she pulls forth this small, what looks almost like a sickle, like a small curved weapon of some kind. She bends her head low before the silver tree. She mouths a silent prayer, and then she cuts a branch from the tree. But this time she lets one single drop of silver sap drip from the end of the cut tree onto the removed branch, and it sparkles in the light as it hits the wood. She then turns and hands the branch to one of you. Who wants to take it?
Phyllis should take it.
Okay. You must touch this branch to Vernon Richard. You must be holding it when you do so. She says, do so swiftly before he can shatter the Megurolith, or all will be lost. And then watch and let nature do its work. And remember what you have learned here, and she begins to walk away. For Vernon Richard is only one of the threats that you will face. There are many who will do the will of evil. But then there are many as well who do the service of good. Do not forget that, Edith.
I still have a question about the dad.
The world around you shimmers, and Trinus looks, and she looks around, and she says, your time is almost up. Return now to the world you know, and do what must be done, and go with the blessing of two gods. May nature and memory sustain you. And then a dark, misty tunnel appears on one end of the clearing, and within it is Thaddeus Clariton, sort of standing there in the middle. And you can see he's kind of like hurried towards something.
Yep, we gotta go.
So when you get in there, you can see that he's sweating, like the strain is really evident, like he's kind of staggered a little bit. He says, we have little time. Have you found what you must?
Yes.
Yep.
He says, then we must return.
We have to get to Richard immediately.
Very well. I must warn you, when we return to the present, I will not remember what has happened here. I am in this and the present space, and therefore I will be brought back into my own body. Only you will remember what has happened and what must be done. Move swiftly! And then he raises his hands, and the mist clears to reveal you back in the room of the trial, and Richard is speaking. You were all responsible, he says, pointing. You, the stupid, insignificant... Okay, so now,
Charge
here's the
forward
deal.
to defend.
So if you're going to go straight for Richard, here's the deal. Now, how are you going to do this? You're just basically like vaulting the, like...
Where are we? Like, what's the layout of this courtroom?
So, okay, so basically, imagine all of yourselves in the witness stand about here. And let's imagine that he is about, roughly about in the middle of this set of chairs. You need to get from here to there. The problem is, there's people, and there's also guards. And depending on how you want to do this, nobody knows what's going on yet, because he's still giving his little speech. Yes?
So, we are here.
Yeah.
Richard, but no, I'm just using.
Yeah, right.
okay.
We are here. Richard's there.
Right.
People and guards.
This
Yeah,
is a job.
like all
I
around.
go start a fight over there. I just start decking people.
Okay.
Distraction in place.
Okay, so you go over, you start decking the guards. Chaos, they're like, magic. What is it? Order! Start slamming the gavel.
Get out of the way!
Okay. All right, so now what I need you to do, here is how do you want to get through the crowd? Do you want to try to like jump through and over them type of thing?
Everybody move!
Yeah, exactly.
Very much, yeah. Get my
we
boots
really need Fezzik.
I need my boots going.
Can we just throw him?
A heavy push to move to clear a path.
Give the
heavy
stick to
push
the
to clear
halfling.
it
Toss the halfling.
Okay.
I knew that was coming.
Honestly, feel better next time I do.
Wait.
You would be better off.
Alright.
My dex is 16.
We need to call it here quickly. What are we doing?
My dex is 17.
Give me that stick.
All right.
Throw them
Toss
out.
me!
I know we've been fighting so long.
Wait, no, you gotta toss her.
We need the strongest ones to toss
So
the
Katniss or Shala is throwing?
Yeah.
Throwing?
Yeah, but Shala ran off to start the
Jealous
fight.
step.
Actually, it's me.
Okay, so go ahead and make a strength check, athletics check. Let's see how hard it is. I want you all to be.
Okay, I have athletics. I have athletics plus 5.
That's fine. Go ahead and do that.
So, Greg,
Yeah.
question for you.
Sure.
That's not good.
I have the cantrip True Strike.
I'm sorry? Did I hear it inspire?
We're here inspired.
Go ahead and roll
I have the
again.
Oh, yeah!
I have the cantrip True Strike.
Okay.
Can I use it on?
14 plus 5 is 19.
Okay, 19. So you toss her, and it's like this dramatic, like, don't want to close my eyes. And you're soaring towards it. The magistrate is like, what? Meanwhile, like Charlotte, poof, like over on the side. And as you come close, you can see Richard's eyes sort of like looking like, what? Like this. As the person rises from behind the trot, from the back of the room and throws something to Richard. Now, you just had, what did you cast?
I cast True Strike.
Okay.
True Strike. So as you go over, I need you to make a dexterity check for me, please.
17!
Yes, better than that. Better than that. 17 plus.
20.
You go over and as he's like, whoa, and the Megirolith is coming this way, and you touch him with it. Richard catches the Megirolith as you go by and land, like awesome, dramatically Avenger style, like in that style. But he catches the Megirolith and sort of stares at you and and says, "So," no, that's not what he says. He doesn't say that. Nonsense. Nothing seems to happen, and he laughs in triumph and prepares to throw it down. But a second later, he shrieks, and silver branches break through the floor beneath him, like this, and encircle him. He shrieks and screams for help as the branches surround him completely, and then drag him, holding the Megirolith, down below the floor. The guards run over as the onlookers watch, stunned, but Vernon Richard is gone, as unfortunately as his accomplice escaped in the chaos. Whoever that is still poses a threat to Neverwinter Academy and the Sword Coast. However, for you, the party has succeeded in its quest and averted disaster.
Yay!
Nature has passed its final judgment weight, and the characters think they feel a gentle breeze and a quiet laughter, which then is gone.
I would just like to point out, I did actually conquer guard.
You did
I rolled a 16.
Congratulations, and thank you, everybody. That is Return to the Forbidden Library. Before you all leave, do you want to get one more chance to sort of talk about your awesome stuff to everybody in Twitch? I guess I'll go the other way this time. So,
Yeah.
Kelly?
Well, my young adult book, This May Go in Your Permanent Record, and the sequel, Your Permanent Record Can Be Destroyed, is available on Amazon. Plus various and sundry short stories out there. If you're into baseball, I do have a baseball essay available on Shondaland about my transition from being a Cardinals fan to becoming a Cubs fan.
Beth?
Well, I'd love for you to read my romance novels, but since I think that's fairly unlikely, I'd really like to thank Greg Wilson for a wonderful evening and a fabulous evening.
That's all you, man.
Eric?
That's all you,
I
Aaron.
thought you were still going to plug yourself.
Nope.
My newest novel, the epic fantasy Bones of Empire with Steve Saville, just released last week. It's available on Amazon.co.uk, and it will be available shortly on both Audible and in the US.
Dylan?
So my name is Dylan Bertone again, and I just had a new book release called Shapes in the Smoke. It just came out a week or two ago, and it's a 4-book series about a young woman who hunts down creatures from Japanese mythology.
Awesome. Karen?
Karen Bovenmeyer, and Swift for the Sun is What If Han Solo and Tarzan Fell in Love and Fought Pirates. And it just won the best LGBT title of last year from the Independent Book Publishers Association.
And I'm David Mack. My latest original novel is Midnight Front, first book in my Dark Art series. It could be described as Harry Potter meets Band of Brothers, Wizards in World War II, Bullets and Brimstone, Demons in D-Day. Available from fine book retailers everywhere. And book 2, The Iron Codex, coming this January, now available for pre-order.
Awesome. And I was there in a reading when I did that. So, first of all, my wonderful players, thank you. This was a ton of fun. Thank you all. And thank you to all of you for being a wonderful audience. You folks are great.
Yes,
and if
thank
you have
you.
questions, thank you. Good job on that Inspire. And Twitch, thank you Twitch as well. Bye Twitch. And I will see my wonderful viewers later, and thank you guys all so much.
That was really awesome.
I can't believe you fucking did it again.